Morning, it's Tuesday, March 20th, 2018. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. And this is the Daily Mix TV. So, Facebook, honestly, you can't make this shit up. Facebook stock took a severe dump yesterday, shedding 6.77% of its value. Now, a lot of people are asking, what the hell is going on over there? Well, there are a lot of problems at the social giant right now, so let's dive into this. There was an accusation that the platform failed to enforce their own terms of service. As a matter of fact, the accusation states that they allowed a politically connected company to access data they shouldn't. The company's called Campaign Analytica, and basically here's what's happening. A lot of politicians that are up for election have hired to do a little wet work, a little down and dirty, in order to get them elected. Now, basically, Campaign Analytica's job is to do whatever it has to in order to get their client into office. Now, that included in this case, according to accusations, that Facebook was aware that they were accessing data and using it for the betterment of their clients. However, Facebook did nothing about it. That is against the terms of service. And given that it's a publicly held company, that's a serious problem and a serious accusation. Now, from this new issue to the Russian interference in the U.S. election scandal to the propagation of fake news, all of these things, Facebook has had some serious challenges it has simply failed to face properly in recent months. Now, what I find a little more strange and conspicuous about this is that Zuckerberg himself sold off about $500 million in shares right before the dive yesterday. So did his sister and several other executives who were clearly privy to information that had not been revealed to the public yesterday. That is a major no-no in publicly held corporations. And it seems a little too close to home, if you ask me. Now, considering that Mark Zuckerberg himself claimed to the world that he was going to donate 99% of his fortune, this news is very telling, to say the very least. The hypocrisy of people like this makes me batshit crazy. If I were the executive team at Facebook, I would be seriously concerned that the actions of my CEO and COO are going to lead to a federal oversight or a congressional investigation, and that's going to only lead to further stock downfalls. This company is in a lot of trouble right now, both publicly, politically, and financially, because what's going to ultimately happen is advertisers are going to pull back because we all know that the power of the platform has changed significantly since they keep changing their algorithms, and the constant change to the news feed has hurt a lot of brands, forcing them to spend more money to impact the same amount of folks they did yesterday. So there's a perfect storm on the horizon for Zuckerberg and company, and if I were those executives, I'd be very concerned. I have a feeling we're actually seeing the end of Facebook's domination as the #1 social platform. But only time will tell, and we'll keep an eye on it for you. So Apple is looking to control its supply chain by making their own screens, according to rumors on the street. Cupertino Powerhouse is designing and producing its own displays for the first time using a secret manufacturing facility near their California headquarters. Now, they're primarily focusing, from what I understand, on micro LED screens for their Apple Watch line. It appears that the company is, in fact, testing the waters in this kind of manufacturing. Now, I'm willing to bet a lot of this has to do with the incredible cost the company absorbed when they were developing and manufacturing the iPhone X. The issue at hand was the OLED screen, which they contracted to Samsung to manufacture, and it cost a fortune. It was just one reason why the iPhone X was so expensive. Now, the issue at hand here is very simple, and I get asked this question all the time by clients, by friends, people seeking advice. Does manufacturing your own products make you more money in the long run? The short answer here is yes, guys, but it is a massive liability to undertake, considering how many moving parts, yes, pun intended, goes into making a smartphone. So from the different components and the materials that you then have to put together, you got to package, ship, and so on. Look, it's not as simple as, say, contracting it out to another company like Foxconn, who Apple currently uses to contract manufacture. And there are positives and negatives to both paths, that being outsourcing and manufacturing on your own. I have a feeling that Apple will ultimately end up using this particular facility as an R&D facility specific to manufacturing process, efficiency, and the viability of devices go forward to try and streamline the development process, which can only increase their profits. Now, fresh on the heels of acquiring Time Incorporated, Meredith Corporation has wielded the corporate axe for the second time in as many months. This time, they're actually cutting another 200 to 300 jobs, primarily of former Time Inc. employees, in a cost-saving measure. Now, the reality here is that when you acquire a company the size of Time Inc., as a company the size of Meredith, you're acquiring a lot of redundancy in terms of headcount and responsibility. So in order to maintain control of your HR liability and responsibly run your company, you need to thin the herd, so to speak. Now, these are not easy decisions to make for sure, but at the end of the day, they are necessary to maintain a healthy cash flow for a company of this size. You need to protect your shareholders. More importantly, you need to protect all of your employees. So if that means that you've got to cut a few hundred heads in a multi-thousand operation, okay, if that's for the betterment of the entire company, including those employees, as a CEO, you really don't have a choice. So in this instance, I'm sure it was a tough decision, but at the end of the day, clearly a healthy one for their future. The hundreds of millions of teenage earlobes that have been pierced at mall standard Claire's accessories are all feeling a little heat yesterday because the once popular chain announced it was filing for bankruptcy. Look, it appears that they have struck a deal that will enable Claire's to remain in operation while the debt is turned around. So in other words, it's a restructuring. They're certainly more fortunate at this point than Toys R Us was, considering the liquidation the chain is about to embark on after filing for a similar bankruptcy claim last September. Claire's was a mall staple for teenage mall rats, trolling malls across the country for decades. Now, from ear piercings to cheap accessories and candies, Claire's has been a part of the American mall experience for a very long time. Let's just hope that they can emerge from bankruptcy with a clean ledger, unlike Toys R Us. Speaking of which, rumors on the street are claiming that Amazon may in fact buy some of those 700 store leases that Toys R Us is vacating during liquidation. Now, we're checking this rumor out, but early indicators suggest that Amazon wants to do it as a showcase for popular products in an expanded effort to bolster their physical presence in popular markets. We'll get back to this one for you. Humans suck. There simply is no other or better way to put it. Word came down this morning that Sudan, the 45-year-old male northern white rhino who's been sick for months, has passed away. Sudan was the last of his species, leaving only behind a daughter and granddaughter to carry on his legacy. He was the last male of the northern white rhino. Now, the only way this species can survive is if scientists at this point can effectively carry out an in vitro fertilization treatment. So otherwise, the northern white rhino will become extinct when his granddaughter passes away. Now, I bring this up not because it's a marketing thing or a business thing. It's a human thing. We need to be more cognizant of the lessons Mother Nature is trying to teach us. Every day, we destroy more rainforests, more species become extinct, and more. You know, the problems will eventually have a significant impact on humanity. Remember, there's a reason why they call it the circle of life, folks. Nature is all about a delicate balance in our ecosystem. And once we render a species, be it of an animal or plant nature, extinct, there is no turning back. God, rest in peace, Sudan. I feel so bad about this story. It really makes me sad, especially as an animal advocate and an animal lover of my entire life. It truly saddens me that humanity is this destructive. This was perfectly avoidable. Thank God, the southern white rhino species still has about 20,000 large in Africa, but it still doesn't make a difference. Rest in peace, Sudan. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Have a great day, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow on Hump Day.